Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. It is Saturday. I hope you're all having a very good start to the weekend wherever you're watching around the world. Glorious here in the UK. Ashes Saturday as well. What a start to the test match it was yesterday. First day certainly set the tone for what should be a brilliant series. If, like me, you love cricket, you're going to be well into it. If not, then you're probably thinking, stop talking about cricket. I don't want to hear about that. So I will. We'll get straight on to Arsenal, shall we? Plenty to talk about today. Lots of you getting involved, watching the videos, asking questions. We'll get to those at the end of this video. There's a few of them I've selected for this one. Thank you very much for getting involved as always. Lots to talk about before that. We've got to talk about Kai Havertz, Lavia as well, who's been linked with Arsenal, which is a very interesting one, I think. Bukayo Saka, a bit of an injury scare for England yesterday. Ainsley Maitland-Niles talking about his emotional Arsenal exit as well. So let's start with Kai Havertz, shall we? Arsenal having a bid rejected now for the German. Talks continue over a potential deal. A little bit of whispers about Bayern Munich getting involved now as well, which could potentially throw a bit of a spanner in the works for Arsenal, who are looking to get this deal done for Kai Havertz. He's honestly sparks so much debate on this channel, in the comments, on my other social media channels. Everyone talking about this one. Some people think it's a really smart move and he could be a fantastic signing for Arsenal. A lot of other people thinking, why on earth are Arsenal spending this or trying to spend this sort of money on a player who has struggled to make much of an impact at Chelsea, although he did score the winner in the Champions League final, of course, so he did pay back basically everything that they paid for him with that one goal. But aside from that one massive moment, not really pulled up many trees at Chelsea. Not many players have pulled up many trees at Chelsea, certainly in the last 12 months or so, so you can kind of factor that into it perhaps. But yes, certainly a player who's divided an awful lot of an opinion. We don't know what that bid was yet that Arsenal have had rejected for Kai Havertz, how big that was, and I think that's going to be the key thing. That's how people are going to view this transfer. It depends on exactly how much, if Arsenal end up signing him, how much they end up paying for him. If it's a deal which you can look at and think, okay, that's not too bad, I don't know, 40, 50 maybe when you sort of look at modern day prices. But, if Chelsea wanted 70, 75 million for him, if Arsenal end up paying anything close to that, I think people are going to look at it and think, yeah, you've had one there. You've given Chelsea an awful lot of money for a player, got Chelsea out of a difficult financial situation, or helped Chelsea potentially get out of a difficult financial situation, and allowed them to spend some money on some big name targets, Moises Caicedo especially. So I think ultimately, what Arsenal end up paying for Havertz, if they sign him, I think it's going to be how a lot of people view this transfer. If he goes on, then we have to wait and see what he produces on the pitch. If he goes on, produces and becomes a bit of a star here, then no one's going to care how much they paid. But if he struggles, doesn't make much of an impact, and Arsenal have given a lot of money to Chelsea, then it's going to be viewed as a bit of a disaster. So I think, Arteta's, if Arsenal sign him, I think Arteta and Edu are certainly, they're going to know. They're not stupid by any means. They're very smart people. They're going to know the reaction that this type of transfer is going to cause. They're going to look at it, think, okay, Chelsea, a player not playing too well. Like I said, they're not stupid. They know what sort of reaction it's going to make, and they're certainly taking that on board. But if they believe he's a player that can come in and improve the squad, then they're going to push ahead and try and do it. So we'll wait and see. But yeah, Arsenal, same with Declan Rice. First bid for Rice rejected. First bid for Havertz rejected. Expecting second bids to go in for both players again very, very imminently. Interesting one, Southampton, Lavia, being linked with Arsenal. Really, really good player. I really like him, I have to say. In the 3-3 at the Emirates at the end of last season, look, Arsenal were rubbish that night, but he was great. I thought he was really, really good. I wrote a piece about him immediately after full time, in fact, saying how well he played, how impressive he looked, and how someone's going to land themselves a bit of a bargain if they sign him in the summer. He's young. If Arsenal sort of move in towards him rather than someone say like Caicedo, it's because of money. Arsenal are going to shell out £100 million plus for Declan Rice if they sign him, and that makes it very, very difficult to then sign Caicedo for similar amounts of money just because of the finances involved. If you're going to sign Lavia, then he's going to be cheaper. He's not going to be bargain basement, even though Southampton have been relegated. You're still talking probably 40 million, something like that, maybe 35 million. I don't know. But he's a hell of a talent, and he's not as far ahead in his sort of progress as Caicedo is. But if you've still got Thomas Partey, you've still got Jorginho, if you're signing Declan Rice, maybe, that's not a bad thing. You can bring in someone like that, a little bit cheaper than Caicedo, who's certainly got the ceiling to become an absolute superstar. You can see how good he is, and he's shown that even in a struggling Southampton side. So this is a deal that I'd potentially be very, very on board with. I have to say, I think he's a real talent. I think it'd be a smart piece of business. Again, there's going to be a lot of clubs interested in him this summer. Southampton know they're going to have to sell. All the top clubs are going to be sniffing around. City do have a buyback clause on him. Whether they take that up, it doesn't look likely at the moment, but you never know, because they are looking for midfielders. We know that. Could potentially be getting involved in the Declan Rice saga. So we'll have to wait and see. But a lot of top clubs are going to be sniffing around. It's going to be a difficult one to land, but it's certainly one I think I'm getting on board with. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think he'd be a good signing for Arsenal if they're not going to go for a Caicedo? Do you think he's a good second sort of backup option to come in as the second midfielder this summer? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, I'm sure you, like me, or some of you, like me, were watching the England game yesterday, bits and pieces of it anyway. I couldn't sit through it all because it was a little bit boring, I have to say, and the US Open was on, so I was mainly watching the golf. But I walked in to the room. I walked next door and I was talking to my son, and I walked back in, looked at the TV, and all I saw was Saka lying in agony on the floor, and it was just literally, oh my God, what's happened? He saw the replay, kind of got his ankle caught underneath him. Didn't look nice, and he certainly looked in a bit of pain. Did get up, carried on to half time, but then was replaced by Gareth Southgate, so didn't come out for the second half, which again, was, oh no, how bad is it? What's going on? Southgate has spoken afterwards though, and he said he's good. We just didn't want to take a chance with him given the scoreline, which, I'm sure Mikel Arteta would have certainly appreciated. I'm sure Arsenal fans all around the world would have appreciated it, because you don't want to be taking any risks with Bukayo Saka. So we'll see how it goes. England's next game is against North Macedonia. I think that's on Monday. Is it Monday? I did write it down. Yeah, it is Monday. So not too long a turnaround for that. If there's any sort of issue, you would hope just give him a rest, and don't. You've got someone like a Rashford who you can start there. You don't want to take any risks with Bukayo Saka. Just make sure he's all right, Gareth, please. Don't be doing anything stupid and playing him when you don't need to be. But fingers crossed, given what Southgate said after the game, it appears that it's nothing too serious for Saka. So fingers crossed with that one. Elsewhere, international, good night for Jakub Kiwior yesterday. Scored the winner for Poland. First international goal. He scored the winner, I think it was against Germany as well. Really, really good for him. Special night for him, so fair play. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, before we move on to your questions, Ainsley's been talking about his departure yesterday, ending a long association with Arsenal. Of course, been on the cards for a fair while now. He still looked back to that summer when Arsenal had £20 million plus on the table from Wolves, didn't take it, and now look, he's gone on a free. Bad decision. Although at the time I thought it was a good decision, but that was when I thought it looked like Mikel Arteta was going to be using him a lot. But within 6 months, he sent him out on loan to West Brom. I didn't quite understand that. But anyway, that's been and gone. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. This is what Ainsley Maitland-Niles has had to say about leaving. He said, I've seen a lot of players come and go and played with a lot of fantastic players throughout my time here. Unfortunately, it has come to an end, but I'm being very happy every single moment I've been here to play and work for this club. The trophy wins would probably be the best moments for me. Obviously, some of the domestic seasons weren't great, but at least I got to win some trophies with the club I love. The FA Cup final was a fantastic day that will always stick in my mind, and I was happy to be a part of that team that won it. And he played such a big part in that FA Cup as well, Ainsley, in the semi-final and the final against Manchester City, playing in that wing-back role. He played it really, really well. Absolutely key part of that FA Cup winning team. And so fair play to him as well. And lots of good memories from Ainsley. Those penalties. I saw a clip yesterday, Arsenal showing the 5 penalties he took in the shootouts, and just there can't be a cooler customer when it comes to penalty shootouts than Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Just absolutely walks it in. That run up is just hilarious, and the finish as well. So good luck to Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I hope he finds himself a good club this summer, can really kick on, because his career has flatlined a bit in the last few years, which is a shame, because it's only a few years ago, around that FA Cup win, he got himself into the England squad. So hopefully, like I said, he can kick on and get himself a good move and really take his career forwards. Okay, a couple of questions now before we go. This one, I don't really know the name, just says @user and then BY9C. So I'm not sure what your name is, but thank you very much for getting involved. You said, hello Charles, daily fan here all the way from Austin, Texas in the United States. My question is with Kai Havertz, why is everyone confused as to why Arteta wants him? He can play CAM, right wing, striker, provide the depth for Odegaard, Saka and Jesus on top of the fact he gives us more height. Thoughts? Yeah, look, I can absolutely understand why Arteta wants him. He ticks a lot of the boxes that Arteta likes. He fits the age range. Like you said, he's very, very versatile, which Mikel wants in pretty much every player that he signs. He can play across the front line. He can play as a number 8 type player. I kind of look at it and wonder if he is coming in to play that Granit Xhaka role next season, if he signs, of course. But like you said, he can play as a striker, as a 9, as a false 9. He provides height. You know, a lot of his goals he scored for Chelsea have been headers, and that's something that Arsenal lack in and around the penalty area. Really, is more of a sort of physical player who can get his head to some crosses who come in. So I can absolutely 100% see why Mikel would want him, or likes the look of him. But like I said, for me personally, it kind of all revolves around the price, because I've certainly got big question marks myself about whether he's a decent player or not. I haven't seen enough from him while he's been in England to suggest. You know, I don't look at him and think, I didn't end last season and think, oh, Arsenal, I really hope we try and sign Kai Havertz this summer. It wouldn't even have come into my head. So, yeah, I've still got a lot of reservations about it, but, you know, I think Mikel Arteta and Edu have done enough to warrant a fair bit of trust when it comes to talent ID. So if it does happen, then absolutely, you know, I'm fully hoping that Arteta and Edu can prove me wrong and show that he was a good signing. Right, MKH656 says, how is it that a multi-million billion £1 Premier League club can only focus on one deal at a time? They're not. I don't really understand that, because they're not. They've bid for Declan Rice, they've bid for Kai Havertz. That's 2, you know, multi-million pound deals they're trying to get done at the exact same time. So they're not just focusing on one deal. You know, they're sniffing around a lot of other players as well. So yeah, they're not really. I can understand, you know, kind of feels like that in a way, because Declan Rice has been dominating everything because he's a priority and because of how big a name he is, and he's dominating a lot of the headlines. But they're not just working on one deal at a time. They're working on lots of deals. They're getting contracts renewed at the same time as well. Of course, Saliba's about to be done, or about to be announced. That's been going on. So they're working. They've got a lot of irons in the fire, all spinning. You know, spinning a lot of plates at the same time. So it's very much they're not just working on one deal at a time. Right, Joshua Saki says now, Eze should be a good target. What a player! What a talent he is. I don't know. Yes, I would have no qualms at all if suddenly Arsenal were uncovered as being in for Eze. I don't think that is the case at all this summer. But absolutely fabulous player. I mean, look, he started his career at Arsenal. He was an Arsenal player, right? Arsenal was his first club, and he was released as a 13-year-old. Then went around, I think went to Reading eventually, then went to Millwall, got released from Millwall as well when he was just 18. You know, he's had to sort of fight his way up the hard way. He's had to take a lot of rejections in the past, including one from Arsenal. And now he's doing brilliant. Made his England debut last night, which is fantastic for him. Huge talent. He's been great at Crystal Palace. Him and Michael Olise, I think, 2 really fantastic young players doing great things for Palace. So yeah, he should be a good target. I understand 100%, Joshua. I wouldn't mind at all Arsenal being linked with Eze or really pushing for Eze. I don't think it's happening, but yeah, he was an Arsenal player. He was there. He was on the books, just like Harry Kane, but they released him. As is the way, sometimes you win some and you lose some. And that's about it from me. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Like I said, have a very good Saturday. I hope you have a great start to the weekend. I'll be back tomorrow to talk all things Arsenal as we head towards another week. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. I'll speak to you soon.